Oh, Canada.
Put on a suit, drink water, don't drink and drive. Hey, man, call your mother.
It means nothing. It means nothing.
Nah, they lying to you. It's about the money.
Now you're more fluent.
Now you're more fluent. Just so you know, I'm not saying she's coming, but ever since Trista, who's at the end you see there and says, now you're more fluent, ever since she left BetMGM, I said, hey, I'm sending you the link because back then she was on at the same time as we were.
Right.
So she's like, I said, she said, like, send me the link. She goes, I never know what I'm doing. I'm moving. She's building a house. I don't know if you saw all her stuff. She was like building her. So I'm sending you the link every week. So I was putting it out there, letting you know that it's been sent.
Trista might show up.
You never know.
Yeah, man.
It's
real.
I told when I tell someone, you know me, I'm a lot of things, but I am a man of my word. And when I say I'm going to send you the link every week, I'm going to send you the link every week.
Right.
Today was supposed to be, you don't remember this, but today, election night, was supposed to be Coach Scott Morrison, the assistant coach for the Utah Jazz, was supposed to come through. Supposed to come through today. I love that dude. Like he had told me, I forgot to tell you, but he had told me weeks ago that the Jazz had set up a team event. They're in Chicago, I believe, tonight. In preparation, either they played them last night or they're playing them tomorrow night, one of the two. And so they're in Chicago right now, and they're doing a team event. And so he couldn't. He definitely said he'll reschedule. That's why we love that guy. Speaking of election night, which do you think is more realistic? Because I've been, scouring the Twitter. I don't get a vote being up here in Canada.
Right.
I saw two votes. One, tell me which one's more realistic. Cowboys suck, and another one, LeBron James. I'm just putting it out there.
What's more realistic? The Cowboys suck or LeBron James? LeBron James
president.
What?
As president.
LeBron James as president?
Yeah,
the Cowboys suck 100%. 100% the Cowboys suck.
Him in. They wrote him in.
Yes.
Oh, man. Okay. I know you're good. I know you're a history guy. A history guy.
Yep.
Are you a geography guy?
I am. I got a B- in geography.
Okay.
I did.
Here we go. You ready?
Yep.
I like hitting you up with some random trivia. So, in the world, there are only 4 countries that start with the letter H.
4 countries that start with the letter H. Okay, so for those of you out there that aren't aware, Hawaii is not a country; that's a state.
No, it is not. It's not a country.
So take Hawaii off the table. That's a state. So one of those countries would be Honduras.
Correct.
Let's see.
Not the one I thought you'd say first, but
no, correct. Honduras is one. Let's see. I'm thinking about Europe.
Be quiet, chat. Don't look to the chat. Don't look. Don't you dare look.
I'm not.
Come on,
in fact,
chat.
I'm not looking. Let's see. Honduras, Hungary.
Yes.
You're Hungarian. Honduras, Hungarian.
Shout out to my old teammate Nick. He was from Hungary.
Let's see. I'm thinking about Hong Kong is not a country; it's a city. I'm sorry. Let's see.
You can look. No one else in the chat is saying anything because they don't know, or they're listening for once.
That's a good one, Tone. I can only come up with 2 of them.
No, you can come up with a third one because one of them's just not that far away from where you live. A little island if you go just south of Florida. Well, maybe a little bit more south.
Well, Havana is
a little further south than that. It shares an island with another country.
Let's see. The Bahamas. Oh, Haiti. I'm sorry.
Haiti, correct. Yes.
Haiti.
Philip, hold on, Philip. Holland, my man, or woman, I don't know. I'm assuming man. Holland is not a country.
No, it is not. Let's see. So Haiti,
So you got Haiti.
I'm Haitian. Yeah. I'm Hungarian, and I'm Honduras.
Yes, and Honduras. The last one, I don't know. I don't know that you're going to get this one if I'm being honest.
I don't. I'm stumped.
Holy See.
Holy See. I don't know what Holy See is.
I don't think anybody knows where Holy See is, but Full Metal Quirk got it. Holy See in the chat. Congratulations. You got it.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh. We have.
Hold on for a second, Tone. 1 second.
He's going on the map to see where Holy See is. While you do that, Jay, I'm going to, you know what? I was going to, this is why this show's so good when we're live. I can just go straight to a video. I'm jumping right to a video. And we're going to play it for you guys. Because I think it's hilarious. That's why I'm going to play it. No games today on the NBA schedule. So we're going to start talking up with
Finish. I said, better late than never, better late than never. You're better late than never.
Oh, Jay missed it. I'm going to show it to him after. So today we're going to talk about, while we're waiting for Jay, we're going to talk about KD and Stephen A. Smith. They got their dumbass battle going on. World champs of basketball, stupid Yankees fans, ref stats. Obviously, I'll play this again for Jay. This for you, Jay.
Finish. Mm-hmm. I said, better late than never, better late than never. You're better late than never.
A Tone, man. And we're going to talk about.
You know what? Let's just talk about it.
Yeah, because
ownership, general managers, coaches, product on the court. It's all to steal from my boy Chuck. Horrible. It's all horrible. And I just want to say,
sure,
I told you so.
You did, Tone, and I'm trying to figure out where you got that from. I'm like, where is this dude seeing that this team is going to be garbage? Where is he seeing that at? Where? Because I don't see it.
I'll tell you where I saw it. Here's where I saw it. The roster is poorly made up. I have told you from the jump, I do not like Doc Rivers as a coach. I've said that.
There's plenty of coaches that I don't. There's plenty of coaches that I'm not fond of.
I mean, for the team that they assembled, and then I don't want to. It's not. You can't change the identity of the team.
Yep.
Like they did, and expect it to work. And then there was really turmoil. There wasn't really a coaching search, right? Doc Rivers was just kind of there advising and I think he weaseled himself into that role. And I'm telling you right now, and I've told you this, and I'm going to say it again. You keep Adrian Griffin. You keep Drew Holiday. You keep Grayson Allen, I believe his name was.
Yeah.
You keep that team together.
Yep.
The only move they should have made was because of injuries, not because of whatever, because he's not the same guy anymore. Chris Middleton and a draft pick and get another scorer. There's many, many scorers that could have come in to that role in this NBA. And I'm telling you, that team is challenging Boston.
When was a good time to come off of Middleton, Tone?
Last offseason, when they were doing all the other nonsense that they were doing for Dame. They were so concerned.
Before they moved off of Holiday. So Holiday's still on the crew.
Yeah. Okay. Oh yeah. All the time they spent trying to stop Miami from getting Dame, it should have been, how can we get in on that? Like you always say, bring in a third team. And if they want Dame that bad, no problem. Help them get Dame.
Yeah.
And use and put Chris Middleton in to get someone. I don't know who that person is. I haven't done the research to look.
I know exactly who it is, Tone. Their starting small forward is in Phoenix. His name is Ryan Dunn. That's who their starting small forward is in Milwaukee. 100% that's going on. Is this the same situation? Which, by the way, Tone, I feel the same way about the Warriors when people were roasting me when I said in 22 after they won the NBA championship, because you're one of those guys who sell high. Just so you guys know, Tone is a businessman. Tone knows when to sell. And when the Warriors won the NBA championship, that's when I said it's time to move on from these dudes. It's time to reload. It's time to move on from Draymond. It's time to move on from Clay. We got everything that we needed. It was time to move on from them dudes, right? So if that's the case, that may be the same idea when dealing with Milwaukee. After they won a championship in 21, that year in 22 when he got hurt, maybe that was the year to move off of him.
Yeah, now I'm not. Listen, I'm a proponent of, if you win a championship, you run it back, right? Tweak it if you, but typically what happens, right? We've seen it with Denver. Once you win, those important pieces, those role players that people don't give enough credit to, people start to pick them away and say, "Oh, we got someone with championship experience, championship pedigree," and so you have to tweak. Once, to your point, once that injury happens, I hate to say it but this isn't a loyalty thing. I'm sorry, loyalty is dead. It's a business, and if my business is to win chips, I move them. If my business is to sell tickets, different, right? Like that's what I think were the Warriors. Now the Warriors got gifted an extra one with Wiggins that year
in 22.
But they were basically saying, hey, we're going to keep Draymond, Clay, and Curry here forever to keep selling tickets. We're not winning anymore. And then now it's it has started to kind of gotten to the point where they moved on from Clay. But Milwaukee should have seen the writing on the wall. And I'm not that smart that how did I see it and they didn't?
Tone, you kept saying this to me, and the reason why I was pushing back on you, and I'm pushing back now. One, and I challenge you, Tone, today. Name me 10 league guards in the game better than Damian Lillard.
I can't.
Okay.
However,
so now I gotta.
Okay. Go, yeah, I'll let you finish. I can't. Go.
So now I got arguably a top 10 lead guard. I think Giannis is arguably the best player in the league, 2 at minimum. So I got arguably the best player in the league, and I got a top 10 lead guard. Do I have enough around them to supplement? Not them. Let me take that back, Tone. Can they supplement what I don't have? Those two guys. So as bad as Dame is on defense, he's going to compete. But Giannis is awesome on defense, and he's a rebounder. As bad as deficient as Giannis is on offense, Dame is that much better as a scorer, as a distributor. So I have that. Why are we at the bottom of the league? So we got the worst record in the NBA. We don't have the worst record in the East. We have the worst record in the NBA. Why are we there?
Name me the top 5 teams. I don't want to get ahead of ourselves because we are doing a top 10. Name me the top 5 teams in the NBA.
The top 5 teams in the NBA. I'm going to go Celtics.
Okay, wait.
Cleveland.
Wait. Well, wait. Just one at a time. So Celtics. Who's their lead guard?
Drew Holiday.
Is he top 10 in the league?
I don't think so.
Okay. Next team.
Cleveland.
Who's their lead guard?
Darius Garland.
Is he top 10 in the league?
I don't think he's a top 10 league guard. I think he may be in the conversation, but okay, sure.
Next team.
The next team is Oklahoma City.
Is their lead guard SGA?
Yes, he is.
Okay, so we give him top 10 next.
Sure. Let's see.
He takes it. We didn't give it to him. He took it.
No, he took it. Golden State.
Okay. Who's their lead guard?
Curry.
No, he's not.
Is it Draymond?
I'm
sorry. I take that back, Tone. That's not true. It's Pazinski. That's who their lead guard is.
Is he top 10?
Pods is not a top 10 lead guard in the game. Okay. No, he is not.
Next.
Phoenix. Tyus Jones is their lead guard. He is not a top 10 lead guard in the game.
So what you're telling me is having a top 10 lead guard doesn't necessarily make you an elite team.
Sure.
So I go back to roster structure. Why I told you, or why I thought this team wasn't going to do well, is you have a player in Giannis who his strength, let's be honest, he scores, right? He can put 30 up a night, but that's his strength is his defense and athleticism.
Sure.
And that's the core of that team. And that's the identity of that team. That's the personality of that team. You got rid of all that. And you said, no, now we're going to be an offensive team. That's what Dame is. Dame's going to go out and hey, he can score in the fourth quarter. He can score late in games. He can run it off. He's a top 10 lead guard in the
39
NBA.
last night. Yeah,
but that's not what that team was built on. So to have those two guys play together, you have to have an elite perimeter defender next to Dame,
which they don't.
A high volume scoring 4, 5, whatever that is, next to Giannis.
Which they don't.
No. So that's why I say the roster. That's why I blame ownership. I blame because the ownership's allowed the GM to make these moves for names. And I ask again, when have big names been brought into a team that has been successful? And if they were successful, more than for a short term.
It's failed more than it succeeded, especially for a long period of time.
It's
100%.
Overall fails more.
Yes.
So they went for, like you always say, they went for the pretty chick with no brains instead of the really, really good looking chick that has brains.
Or the 6. She's not an 8. She's a 6.5, maybe a 7.
Yeah, she's
but
a
she's
6,
so
she
dope.
Works, she brings home a check.
She's so dope.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, she is fantastic.
Right? Like,
she's
you know,
so
she listens to hip hop and she'll sit down and watch the game with you. And they threw her out.
She ain't knocked down gorgeous, but
exactly. And they threw her out for a girl that looks a little bit better but has no substance. And again, let's be clear. I just said Dame's. I can't name 10 lead guards better than him. So this isn't a knock on Dame. It's a knock on the fit.
Yes.
And it's not a fit. And it leads us to the next conversation, right? Which is, does this mean they blow it up? And does this mean Giannis isn't there anymore?
Well, we had this conversation, Tone, last year when they did this, and I wasn't sure on the fit. I was on the fence about it, but I liked the aggressiveness. That's where we were with this. Because Giannis, remember, he said he wasn't signing an extension because he wanted to compete for championships. And when Milwaukee ends up trading Drew Holiday for Dame Lillard, what they're essentially telling him is, we're serious about making moves. Whether we're going to make the right move or not, okay, that's something different. But we are serious about making moves. So when they did that, I'm thinking, okay, they're serious about making moves. Giannis ends up signing an extension. And at that point, I'm giving this unit 3 years. It was a 3-year window because at that point, Dame's 33. So I'm thinking Dame can play at this level. I'm thinking he can play at this level. At that point, I'm thinking he could probably play at this level for another 3 years. Well, last year, it was a transition year. This year, he's right back to being Dame. He's in the top 10 in the league in scoring. I think he's 28-8 this year. And he's doing it on pretty good efficiency. However, there's things that they have not addressed, which I didn't see in the offseason. So to bag Gary Trent, I'm thinking, okay, Gary Trent isn't Jalen Suggs, right? He isn't Lou Dort. I'm not asking you to be that. What I am asking for is, I'm asking you to be competent as a defender, get around screens, navigate screens, be able to guard one-on-one. That hasn't happened with him. What also has been the problem, to your point, Chris Middleton has been banged up. It's the second year in a row, Tone, that he's missed training camp and he's missed the start of the season. So in the words of my man Tony Tone, when you fail fast. Well, they've already failed, and they still haven't failed fast. They still on this with Middleton.
Which is interesting because they did it with the coach.
Mm-hmm.
Coach wasn't jiving with the players. Boom, moved on from him. They were paying 3 coaches at the same time.
Yes, they were.
And let's be honest, if this team starts off as they could, 1-10, 2-15.
Oh my God.
Can they keep Doc? Are they gonna now? Budenholzer, I think, has come off the books, so they'll go back to. They're only down to paying 2 coaches. Maybe they'll go down back to the thing. But I don't think it's. I honestly, I don't think it's the coach. I don't think, as much as I don't like the fit of the coach, it's more for me the roster, which I blame the general manager more than anything. And maybe that's the ownership. Maybe ownership, because they do this too. They stuck their nose in where they don't belong sometimes. I'm not saying, I don't know. And said, we need to make a splash. We need a name. We need this. We need that. But you got a guy, let's be honest, Dame didn't want to go there. He didn't. So I'm not saying his heart's not in it. I'm not giving him any blame. I'm not even taking away from him as a player. I'm not taking away anything from Giannis as a player. It's just there's certain things that, I've seen 2 really good people get married and then divorced. And they're both really good people. They're just not a good fit for each other.
Not good for each other.
No, they're not.
Not
so
good for each other.
I think that's where and I think it's not just those 2. I'm saying it's the entire roster makeup, because when you have those 2 guys, you need to have certain things around them because they do have deficiencies, like major deficiencies. And again, they're not covering it up.
So this isn't this isn't a situation like with Kevin Durant, where my game travels and you don't have to worry about me off the strength that I'm already who I am. I'm a bucket getter, and you know that. James, my game travels. James Harden, my game travels. I do this wherever I am, and you don't have to build something specific around me in order for me to get busy. My game is going to travel.
But here's the thing too, like even all of those guys that you mentioned,
Sure.
like Dame's game travels, Giannis's game travels.
Sure.
However, like you just said, you gave all the stats on Dame. He's still putting up numbers. They're not winning.
28 and 8.
Right? So KD, yeah, you can plop him into any team and he'll do his thing, but the team's not going to win. And so that's where I think there's a disconnect with the way that I think, right or wrong. It's that anyone can go anywhere and do their thing, but can you do our thing and win games? And that's real. That's why I always tell people the team will always be bigger than the individual, right? LeBron James was the best player, I believe, in 8, if not 6. If you want to argue with me, 2 of the years, the best player on 8 straight finals teams. He didn't win 8 straight finals.
We did not.
But he was the best player, right? So the team will always be bigger than the individual, and I think that's where Milwaukee missed the boat. Is they forgot about that, right? And again, could it be team chemistry? Could it be all these other? I think it's just more in this case. Who do we have? What's the supporting team? How can we build a culture and an identity? Is it too late for them? Don't know. But you know how hard it's a lot easier to, this is why people do this. A lot easier to change players than it is identities.
Sure. Because once you create an identity, this is who you are.
Yeah.
100%, especially in the league. So since you brought that up, Tone, I want to run down something really quick for you. So Thursday night, they got Utah coming to town. L or W?
I think that's a win. And I hate to say that. Utah's they're not playing well right now.
Mm-hmm. That next night, they get on a plane and they go to New York. They play the Knicks.
The only team that's just as dysfunctional, but I think New York has enough firepower to get by them.
So that's another L.
That's an L. That's an L.
2 nights later, they got the Celtics in town.
40-point blowout.
They get smoked.
Maybe 22. 22. I'll give them a chance.
2 nights later, they got Toronto in town.
That's a win for Milwaukee.
They should beat Toronto.
I think Giannis is going to put on a display for his new team.
Mm-hmm. For his new team.
The team that should have drafted him in the first place.
Mm-hmm. And then a week from Wednesday, they got Detroit in town.
I think they lose to Detroit.
So of their next 5 games, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of their next 5 games, you got them losing to Detroit. They beat Toronto. They lose to the Celtics. They lose to the Knicks. So 2 of their next 5 games they win.
And they beat Utah. Yeah. So they go 2 and 3 in the next 5.
So they go 2 and 3. So
and people are going to think that they're oh wow, they're doing better. No, they're just playing worse teams.
That's all. That's all they're doing. That's all. Because if you look at this team, Tone, and the way that Doc Rivers got hired, I didn't like it at all. I didn't. And I still don't. But I don't think that he's the problem. I don't think that he's I don't think that he's the problem more than the way that this roster is constructed. Taurean Prince is still one of the better shooters that they have. AJ Green is a damn good shooter that they have. I really like him. I don't know what they're doing with AJ. I don't know what they're doing with Jackson. Still, they came off of Grayson Allen, and they got Pat Connaughton, who looks like almost a shell of himself of what he was when they won the championship. He doesn't look nearly as good. Brook Lopez is long in the tooth, and they don't have anybody backing him up, which is worse. Bobby Portis, still good. I still think that Bobby Portis is one of the better rotation players in the game, but I do think that they need to upgrade their bench. So more than anything, can this thing be turned around? So I'm having a hard time with the idea that
not with this roster.
I'm just having a hard time with the idea that this with both Dame and Giannis, and I can appreciate bad fits because we saw Miami start off 9 and 8. We saw that it wasn't working early, right? I saw Miami start off 9 and 8 when they had James and Wade.
But that wasn't See that I don't know that was a bad fit so much as it was they didn't know who was gonna like. They
Right.
had they had 9 new players.
Well, can't we have that same
Right.
kind of situation going on? Because again, this team's identity, you just brought it up, Tone. This team's
No, but
identity,
that was 9 new players came in,
right?
and they just needed to define roles.
Right.
So I think that's different than you bring in one. Like if that team was already had, let's say Wade and Bosch,
Right.
and they got rid of Bosch, so we'll make Bosch the Drew Holiday. They got rid of Bosch and brought in LeBron, and the other guys stayed, or they Bosch and maybe Udonis Haslem, right? Let's use that. Those 2 guys go and they bring in LeBron. That team, it would have been different. It would have been different. Whereas I'm going to give a team that brought in 9 new players in the offseason an opportunity to figure out who they are. Whereas this team brought in a new player and went from a championship structured defensive team who brought in a defensive minded coach,
Yep.
and tried to rewrite everything who they were.
Right.
That was different. That was I can't compare the two.
Sure. But here's what I'm saying with that, because again, you talked about the roster being flipped. I'm thinking with the roster being flipped, people figuring out their roles, that's going to take some time. Well, with Damian Lillard now coming on board, well, now our identity changed. Okay, before that, we were this hard-nosed, defensive-minded. I think they were in top 5 in the league in defense the year before Dame gets traded. I mean, the year before Drew Holiday gets traded. Now you add Dame. So now what we're going to become is we're going to become a more offensive team because we don't have that anymore. So now we're looking for Bobby Portis to be more of a scorer. We're looking for Giannis to continue to do his thing, but we're looking for guys like Brook Lopez, Chris Middleton to be more scorers because we have a guy at the lead guard spot who isn't much of a defender, and we don't really have much to protect him. So now we have to change our identity in what we are now, as opposed to we had Drew Holiday, this is who we are, this is what we're about, and we can roll with that. We don't have that anymore. Now I'm thinking about this Milwaukee Bucks team, and I'm thinking about how good Giannis is, and I'm thinking about how good Damian Lillard is, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, the season just started. This team might not be in terms of roster construction with AJ Jackson, with AJ Green, with Jackson, with Gary Trent, with Taurean Prince, with Bobby Portis, with Giannis, with Brook Lopez. Okay, this roster might not be constructed to win an NBA championship. We shouldn't be this bad, though, Tone. We shouldn't be the worst team in the league. No.
I agree with that. They shouldn't be this bad. However, I'm looking at the roster, and I'll say you got 29-year-old Giannis.
He'll be 30 next week. Next month.
You got 31-year-old Pat Connaughton. You got 34-year-old Damian Lillard. Mm-hmm. You got 36-year-old Brook Lopez. You got 33-year-old Chris Middleton. Yep. And you got 29-year-old Bobby Portis. Those are like your main guys.
Sure.
They're two. There's no one that's untouchable.
I won't argue that. Nope.
Right, and
because we live in a younger league. We do. We live in a younger league.
Right. Because when you look at it, but the young guys, like you mentioned, AJ Green, Jackson, Gary Trent, those guys aren't, Prince. Those guys are role players. They're not moving the needle on a team. You're not catching Boston, and I love Gary Trent. You're not catching Boston with Gary Trent, AJ Green, and Bobby Portis on the court. You're not. Now that might be right, but that's their aspirations, right? They're not talking about making the playoffs. This is a team that has championship aspirations. But like the person downstairs, as you can see, I'm in another hotel. The person said to me downstairs, they're like, "You got a hamburger budget with caviar taste, my man." And I said, "It's not gonna work. It's not gonna work."
As my uncle would say, "You trying to buy champagne with beer money?"
Yeah.
That doesn't work. No,
I tried to get a lobster tail for $5.
No, sorry, Tone. You got to
dig a little. I thought you could get a cheap lobster tail. I could just go outside and stick my hand in the water and probably grab.
Got to dig deep in your pockets, Tone. $5 ain't enough.
Shout out to New Brunswick, Moncton. That's where I am, by the way. I'm in Moncton, New Brunswick.
Got to dig a little bit deep in your pocket, Tone.
It's my first time here.
But we shouldn't be this. But the point that I'm making, Tone, is we should not be this bad. We got the worst record in the NBA, Tone. We don't have the worst record in the Eastern Conference. We don't have the worst record in the Central Division. We have the worst record in the league. And I got arguably a top 10 league guard on my team, and I got arguably the best player in the NBA on my team. And we're at the bottom of the NBA. We should not be this bad. Are we a championship level team? Well, probably not. Probably not. No, we're not.
And let me be clear. I told you they'd be bad. I didn't think they'd be this bad.
You did say
like that. I was talking like fighting the 500. Like this is ridiculous. Now, I had them. I think 2 or 3. Two of the next. No, what did I say? 2 of the next 5. You might get lucky, get one of the up, steal another one, right? 3 and 2, and now they're going to start feeling a little bit better about themselves. What would it be like 4 and 10? So it's build on that. It's a start. You can build on it.
I'm looking at their schedule, Tone, over the next like 10 games. They got Utah on Thursday. They got the Knicks, who you like the Knicks against them. The Celtics, they don't beat them. Toronto, they should beat Toronto. They got Detroit at home. Because 3 of the next 5 is at home.
They could win. They could beat Detroit, but I just don't think they will.
Mm-hmm. They go to Charlotte on Saturday afternoon.
Okay, that's another one. That's another one. Good.
Then they got Houston. Houston is really good. You know how I feel about Houston. They got the Bulls, who smoked them in their building. Sorry. Again, the Bulls, who smoked them in their building. Then they got the Pacers. These are division games. Then they got Charlotte again. They come down here the day after the Tuesday after Thanksgiving. They got the Wizards. Then they have Detroit. So they're next.
Let me tell you this. If they go 7-3, after those 10 games, and you see them sitting at what will that make them? 8 and 11 or 10? 8, probably 8, something like that. 8 and 11. Mm-hmm. If they're 8 and 11, I'm calling it right now. Fool's gold.
Oh, 100%.
Fool's gold.
Well, fool's gold. Wait a minute, though, Tone. Fool's gold for what? To win the NBA championship?
Yeah, people are saying they're back.
Okay,
they won 7 of their last 10. Now, I told you that they're going to work out. It was just an early season slump, but no, this is going to be at best of 5. They're going to be what I said they are, 500 team fighting for the
Tone.
play.
Remember, Tone. This is the same. That East narrative. I think that we have to stop with this. Isn't 2012 anymore. This isn't 2013. This isn't 2007. Oh,
yes, it is.
No, it's not, Tone. Mm-mm.
Yes, it is.
I'm looking at. You want
to go down the East?
It's only 2. Don't get me wrong. It's only 2 teams in the Eastern Conference right now with winning records. I get that.
So it's 20. You're right, because in 2012 there was 3.
So if that's the case, here's the difference, though, Tone. And so with the Western Conference, we got 6 teams that's 1 game over 500. 1. That's it. 6 teams in the Western Conference that's 1 game over 500, and then you got the other 3 that's rolling. But you also got a team in the Eastern Conference that's the best. They got the best record in the NBA, numero uno. And you got the world champion in the Eastern Conference. So
because they get to play against the East.
No, it's not because they get to play.
It is. It is. How many good teams in the West?
How many good teams are in the West? Let's see. I think just how you talk about Milwaukee. If they go 7-3 in their next 10, you calling them fool's gold? The Golden State Warriors are fool's gold. 100% they are. I'm not buying this at all.
Junior that.
I'm sorry, young fella. Nephew, the Golden State Warriors are fool's gold.
He's not here.
Oklahoma City, legit. Phoenix, I had them in the play-in tournament. Golden State, I think they're fool's gold. Houston, I think that they're going to be a top 5 seed in the West. The Lakers, I actually think they turned out to be better than what I thought they were going to be in the regular season. I don't know what that's going to look like in January, but as of right now, it looks pretty good. Anthony Davis.
Listen, I wish, because I'm a Laker fan, but no, that is fool's purple and gold.
You ain't buying that neither.
I ain't buying it because here's why I'm not buying it. 1, the best player in the league, LeBron James, I don't think plays all 82 games like he says he is. He's going to have those bad games. I know Anthony Davis is not going to play another 70-plus games. We already know that there's drama. They're going to be looking for a new center after that moron did what he did. I'm not even going to give him any attention by calling it out or saying his name. And I still don't like JJ Redick as a coach. I think he is going to rub his players the wrong way sooner than later. So far, it's too early. I'm telling you.
You're going to have to come off that, Tone. Just like you talked me off the ledge, Tone, I'm going to talk you off this JJ Redick ledge. JJ Redick knows what he's doing. I have to give JJ credit.
No,
He actually
JJ
knows
Redick knows.
does.
I'm not suggesting he doesn't know basketball.
Mhm.
I'm not. He absolutely knows basketball.
Sure.
But I am telling you, the thing that makes him so knowledgeable, that arrogance, is going to rub his players the wrong way, and they're not going to say anything because they know he's LeBron's guy, and that's going to cause issues. I feel it, and I hope I'm wrong. I pray and I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong.
I think you're wrong. So as I was saying, so 1, 2, I think Houston's good. I think the Lakers are good. Dallas, I don't think Dallas is fool's gold, but I think they got a good team. I do. Minnesota, I think they got a good team. Sacramento, I think they got a good team. Denver, I think they got a good team. Memphis, I think they got a good team. The Clippers, no. San Antonio, no. The Trailblazers, no. The Pelicans, no. Utah,
well, how
no.
many did you name? 6 or 7?
So I'm thinking, let's see, Oklahoma City, Phoenix, Houston, the Lakers, Dallas, Minnesota, Sacramento, Denver, Memphis. That's 9 teams that I think are good.
9 teams
that I think are good. Now,
that's 400% more than the East.
Wait a minute, though, Tone. That's not fair, man.
It
and the reason why that's not
400%.
Here's why that's not fair. Number one, with Cleveland being who they are, they got a damn good team. The Celtics being who they are, they're the world champs.
Let me ask you this. If the NBA did what they should do, which is eliminate East, West,
here we go.
Conferences, divisions, whatever, and just everybody played everybody the same amount of times, and the top 16 teams made the playoffs, regardless of conference.
How many teams from the Western Conference and how many teams from the Eastern Conference would be in the playoffs? Is that what you're trying to tell me? That what you're trying to tell me, Tom?
12 and 4?
I think it would be more than that. I do think it would be more than that. I think the Knicks are.
11 and 5.
I think Cleveland's a good team. I think Boston's a damn good team. I think the Knicks are a good team. Orlando, Paolo got hurt. I think that's what screwed them up. I think that they were a top 5 team in the East.
Injuries happen.
I think that screwed them up. Milwaukee and Philly threw a monkey wrench in everything that I was doing. They threw a monkey wrench in it, Tone. What are these guys? What's happening with them? They're at the bottom of the East. They're terrible. Both of them.
Terrible. That's
5 teams right there. I didn't think the Bulls would be that good, but turns out the Bulls aren't bad. Brooklyn is fool's gold. I'm not buying that.
Teams always get better when that fraud DeMar DeRozan gets traded from them. Him and Drake, funny. Speaking of terrible teams, I told you another team was going to be terrible. And now their best player got suspended. What's going on in Philly?
Well, what's going on in Philly is I think we realize how valuable I don't think people realize how valuable Joel Embiid is to the Philadelphia 76ers and what he does for them. Everything that they do, everything that they are is predicated on Joel Embiid. And with Joel Embiid out of the lineup would explain why, Tony, they're at the bottom of the league in field goal percentage. They're at the bottom of the league in three-point percentage. They're at the bottom of the league in rebounding. They're at the bottom of the league in defensive rebounding. They're at the bottom of the league in defensive field goal percentage. They're at the bottom of the league in blocks. Everything, Tone, everything that they do is predicated on Joel Embiid. Everything, the way that they run their offense, their defense, their rim protection, their interior defense, their offense on the perimeter, Joel Embiid in transition, Joel Embiid in the mid-range, Joel Embiid stop and pop. Everything that they do is predicated on Joel Embiid. And when Joel Embiid is off the floor, not only do they have to change their game, they got to change everything that they do. Because why? Their backup center does none of what Joel Embiid does. And that's Andre Drummond. He does none of what Joel Embiid does, except rebound. That's it. He's not the defender that Joel Embiid is.
He's the greatest rebounder of all time.
100%. He's in his mind, he's the greatest rebounder of all time. Sure, Tone. I get that part. But what about the other stuff? Right? When I got Joel Embiid on the floor, that makes us so much better because how much we play off of him, how much he does for us, just him as a scorer, him as even a passer. He's not a great passer. I think Joel Embiid, for every one assist, it's a turnover. I think he's got like a 2-to-1 assist to turnover ratio. But even with that being said, him being on the floor is more than enough for us. But now you add in having Paul George. And when you hear the name Paul George, what do you immediately think? Oh, we're fine. When in reality, so we know, Tone, when the playoffs start next year, he'll be 35.
That's not what I think.
As soon as you get Paul George, okay, he's still got the goods. Paul George is still a viable number 2 option playing alongside Joel Embiid. No, he isn't.
Once I hear the name Paul George, I think your team is cooked. And I was right about that as a Clipper, and I was right about it so far as a Sixer. If I'm the Sixers, I'm looking to see, will anyone take Paul George and see if anyone still believes and take advantage of them. And I'll trade him for a 6-pack and a bucket of extra crispy, as you would say.
Oh,
and I'm calling up Milwaukee and saying, Dame and Embiid would look real good together in green, and seeing if I can't get my hands on Giannis. Because the process has failed. They never made it out of the second round. The process has failed. And now he's fighting with broadcasters and not playing. And the media here. And now he's starting to complain. He's talking himself out of Philly. He wants out. I know when a player wants out. I lived through Vince Carter. I lived through Damian Stoudemire. I lived through all of those guys in Toronto that wanted out. Trust me, I know what it sounds like, and it sounds like a guy who's ready to go. So give him his wish. It didn't work for me. It's not working for you. I'm good.
Okay, 2 things, though. Number 1.
Now, that trade's a joke, by the way. That's not going to happen.
I know. Well, number 1, Joel Embiid, him saying that he thinks it's BS, that he's done nothing for the city and he's not working hard. There is some, I got mixed feelings about this, Tone, and I'll get to the reporter thing in a second. And here's why I got mixed feelings about this. Okay. Number 1, Joel Embiid won the league MVP. How many cities have a guy who's a league MVP over the last decade? Not many. Not many. Denver, Milwaukee, Houston, not many. So you got a league MVP in your city. The last time you had that was over, when James Harden won it in 19.
It's been in 10 years?
Yeah. He won it in 18. So when you have a league MVP in your city, the last league MVP you had in your city was in 2001. It was over 20 years ago. You also got a scoring champion in your city. How many guys are leading the league in scoring? Not many. You had that in Philadelphia.
How many banners go up for those?
None. But and again, Tone, I appreciate what he was brought here for. But I can also appreciate the other stuff too. You do have this in your city. This is going on in your city. So don't make it sound like we're Charlotte. We are bad right now. And that's largely due to you knowing who Joel Embiid is. Tone, the process has failed. Joel Embiid came into the league broken, right? Joel Embiid came into the league broken. You knew he was broken when he showed up. He missed the first 2 years, but you still decided to build around him. And in the process of you building around him, he became awesome and arguably the best player in the league. You have that in the city of Philadelphia.
But that's not what you sold them. That's not what you sold them when you said, let's start the process and tank. You openly tanked and created a culture of losing and said, but it'll be worth it. And with the exception of Joel Embiid, you missed on every other thing after that. Every other decision after Joel Embiid. So I don't blame Joel Embiid. Every other decision after Joel Embiid was wrong. Everyone. Coaching, players, what?
Was Ben Simmons wrong?
Yes. It's easy to say in retrospect, but that's what we're doing. We're looking back. Ben Simmons was wrong. Markelle Fultz was wrong. Letting Jimmy go and keeping Tobias Harris, wrong.
That was the wrong decision.
The big decisions were wrong. So it's time to move on. So let's move on. I'm going to give you 2 players. Where should Giannis go? Because I'm hearing Miami. Where should Embiid go?
Milwaukee.
Embiid should go to Milwaukee?
No. Even though they do need a 5-man, but no, I'm not.
Unless I'll even tell you right now, if Embiid goes to Milwaukee with Giannis and Dame, it still doesn't work.
No, it doesn't. And Him in Golden State doesn't work because he just signed a contract extension. So I don't think Golden State works. Anywhere that Joel Embiid ends up where he's going to have to play significant minutes, he hasn't shown that he can hold up. So, Tone, I think Philly's stuck with Joel Embiid. I do. I think they're stuck with him.
Would you trade Joel Embiid for Anthony Davis and Austin Reeves?
Nope. If I'm Philly, I do it. If I'm the Lakers, nope, I ain't doing that. Mm-mm. So I got a big.
What about straight up? What about straight up?
Anthony Davis, nope. Mm-mm. If I'm Philly, if I'm Philly, just to get Joel Embiid off my books, I'd consider it. But if I'm the Lakers, no, because what I'm doing is I'm moving off a guy who's more injury prone, and I'm pairing him with a guy who's older. So now Joel Embiid's going to be out of the lineup more than he's going to be in the lineup. Plus, I got an older guy in James. No, I'm not doing that. Hell no, am I doing that? At least Anthony Davis has shown me over the course of this season and last season, he's going to play. He's going to be available, and I like that about him. I can't say that. I can't say that about Joel Embiid. And I got an aging James who's ridiculously long in the tooth. I don't know why he's still here, but he is still here. And now I'm going to move off of Anthony Davis, who's been playing great, for a guy who's going to be in and out of the lineup. No way am I doing that. Mm-mm.
You know who likes broken down centers? Portland.
The Trailblazers. They do. The Trailblazers do.
Did they put a package together?
Yeah, we good at the
of young talent? No.
We got to make the money work. And
young talent, draft picks. Is there anything?
DeAndre Ayton. Would you take DeAndre Ayton in Philly? And if you would you take DeAndre Ayton, Anthony Simons, and 4 1s for Joel Embiid?
Depends on how many years Ayton has left on his contract. Yeah, I would. Mostly for the 4 1s, right? I'm taking Ayton for money just to make that work. The only problem is, I believe, here's the other problem. I believe, I got to double check my stats.
Yeah.
But Philadelphia's in the second apron, which means they can't do any deals with multiple players. So that might not work either.
He comes off the books. DeAndre Ayton comes off the books after next season.
Yeah, I would do that in a heartbeat. But they might not. Their hands might be tied because of that second apron thing too, though. It might have to be an off season. But I think that finally that one actually makes sense from a Portland needs a guy. They like their centers that are live in the hospital. So it makes makes sense.
I don't know, man. I
don't know. What about Giannis? Do you think Giannis to Miami is a real thing?
I don't. Nope. Mm-mm. And the reason why I don't think it's a real thing is because Giannis told me what his intentions were. He told me that he was going to wait on signing an extension. He told me that. He said, I'm not signing an extension until I'm not signing an extension. I want to be able to compete for championships. The Bucks go out and they make the move that they did for Damian Lillard to show, just in good faith, to show that I am serious. We are serious about making big time moves. It hasn't worked, but Giannis did sign an extension. So Giannis being a man of his word, and Tone, I give this thing 3 years. That's what that was the window. It was a 3-year deal. It was a 3-year window. We're in year 2 of this 3 years. And presently, the way this Milwaukee team is constructed, not sure this is going to continue. I'm not sure this is going to work. But I do remember a certain Laker team that started the season 2-10. I do remember that. And they ended up flipping the roster. And they got rolling. And they ended up in the West Finals.
That was a lot. Hold on, but whoa. They didn't just flip the roster.
Uh-huh.
AD got healthy.
Yup.
And played like an MVP. So that they also had a star player play beyond his better than expected. So
sure.
That helped a little bit too. The only reason I say no is plain and simple. Milwaukee ruined their roster to keep Miami from getting Dame. Now you think they're going to help them and trade Giannis there? It's not happening.
I'm not doing that.
Giannis is going west. The only other scenario he may. No, I'm not. He has no. He have no. The only interest he would have in Toronto is their huge Greek
Greek
and
population.
Nigerian population. Like he would be a god. And like I said, they purposely leaked that draft day stuff where Masai was trying everything he could. I don't think there's a package they could give Milwaukee to get him. That's the only problem. Because they don't really like you're not going to give up Scotty Barnes. That defeats the purpose. And then beyond that, and he's hurt now anyways, I think. So
Yeah, he is. But like you just said, Tone, when your boys flipped the roster, in the process of you flipping the roster, you had Anthony Davis healthy, playing at a league MVP level, arguably the best defensive player in the game at that time. Okay, well, we already have that on our roster right now. So we don't have to worry about him getting healthy. He's already healthy.
Yeah, but
so
they're bad with him healthy.
Right. They are bad with him
Like
healthy.
if you told me Giannis was hurting and then they flipped the roster and then he came back healthy, I'd be with you. But you've already got, again, you're right. If they but I don't know who can they get in there that fills all these like where are you going to find a perimeter defender?
I've told you this. I told you this last season, Tone, and you almost ran me over with a Mack truck when I told you 100% of the dates you don't get is because you don't ask.
All right.
I can promise you that.
You're right.
And
you
almost ran me over with a Mack truck when I told you last year, pick up the telephone, call up the New Orleans Hornets, and ask for Herb Jones. Pick up the telephone, call up the Chicago Bulls, and ask for Alex Caruso. Pick up the telephone and call up the Trailblazers.
And who knew they could have got Alex Caruso for nothing?
Oh my goodness.
For
pick
nothing.
up the phone and pick up the telephone and find out. Who is to say that the Bulls would have said no if you would have asked for Alex Caruso? Because I'm 100% confident that you didn't call him up and ask him. You could have very well called them.
For sure, they didn't call.
You could have very well called them up and said, "Yo, how you feeling about Alex? How you feeling about Alex Caruso these days?" And he was on the books for cheap. Pick up the telephone last season and ask for Herb Jones. Pick up the telephone and ask for Alex Caruso. But
now we're this year. I like Melo's idea, Dyson Daniels, Fluent Junior's guy.
Right.
Who else? Who's the big? But they don't need a defensive big. They need an offensive big. So I like Dyson Daniels for the perimeter defender. Who's the offensive big?
Call up Trailblazers and ask for DeAndre Ayton. I think they'll hand him over, Tone. I think they hand him over.
Of course they would.
I think they hand him over.
What team has he been on that he's made better?
I think they hand him right over.
Sure.
And now you got Giannis, but the problem is that he doesn't stretch the defense like Brook Lopez does.
His offense is like my defense. No, I don't want him on my team.
He does stretch the defense in some spaces. He's got a really good mid-range game. He can rebound. The problem is that he doesn't stretch the defense out to the long ball line. That's where the problem is.
Right? I don't think that's a good fit.
And it's not and I can tell you right now, it's not happening in Indiana. Don't ask for Miles Turner. I think Miles Turner is soft. Cat's already solid in New York. So where does that leave us? That leaves us, we have to address the biggest problem here. And the biggest problem that we have right now is our perimeter defense. That's what we have to address.
Yeah.
And the guys that we have on the roster currently, Trent, Jackson, Green.
The more I think about it, the more I think the perimeter defense is, and I've said it is the big, but I think it might be, I think you can get away with just addressing that.
Yeah.
Because I think that puts a lot of pressure on the back line too, right? And that makes it, I think that perimeter defender, I think they have enough scoring. As long as they don't have to give up what they have already.
Dame and Giannis are untouchable.
Yeah, but I mean, even I'm talking Brook Lopez, Bobby Portis, Chris Middleton's the guy that I think is the one that you say, hey, he's going to get healthy, he's going to be good again.
Tone, I'll entertain Bobby Portis. I will. I'll entertain Bobby Portis. We can have a conversation about him, sure. And I love Bobby Portis as a rotation guy, but we can have a conversation about him and what you might be interested in, or what I might be interested in order to get him. But I mean, Joel Embiid, to your point, Tone, he's shoving reporters and he's talking about.
Yeah, what's up with that?
Well,
like in what world is that okay?
Tone, I got mixed feelings about this, man. I do, and not because. And hear me out. Not because I think what Joel Embiid did is right. You don't put your hands on people. right? So we're in a space right now with Philly where they're bad. They got a bad team right now, right? They got a bad team right now. With them having a bad team, in the process of them having a bad team, now this reporter who, for all intents purposes, I heard I heard he's a bit of a prick, right?
Yeah.
So he writes this story. Joel Embiid had put it out there previous that he was dedicating not the season, but he was playing for his brother who passed away in a car accident, I think in 2016, and he was playing for his son. Now, when I say that, does that now open the door for backlash from reporters to come in and say anything about my family specifically? I don't think so. But there are people who might think that it is. Now it's actually fair game. I don't think that's the case, but that's what happened, where it was in the context of, well, Joel, how do you think your son or how do you think your brother would feel about you not playing if you said you're playing for them? Well, okay, first of all, leave my family out of this. You could talk about me as a ball player. I take no issue with that because that's part of being criticized. You can talk about me as a ball player, but leave my family out of this. But then I got mixed feelings about it because I did open the door to this.
Yeah.
Right? I did open the door to this, and he did take advantage of it. Now, when I see him face to face, and I'm now going to deal with him, me putting my hands on him, that's completely and utterly out of bounds. Number one, this could have turned into something completely different. Okay, we're talking about a 7 foot, 280-pound human putting his hands on somebody. And it wasn't just it was actually putting his hands on a guy and shoving him. That could have been something serious. And now what it does, Tone, is it compounds other reporters. Well, I'm standing outside the Utah Jazz locker room. I'm standing outside the Chicago Bulls locker room, and I don't know, Pat Williams, or I'm standing outside the Knicks locker room and Cat went 1 for 11 at the long ball line. If I bring that up to him and I talk about it and I might say something about his mother who's not around anymore, am I going to have to deal with this? What Joel Embiid dealt with? So now this opens up a can of worms that you can't put your hands on people. And Adam Silver, he had to get control of it. He had to get a hold of this before it turned into something more serious. And I respect that. Now, I also respect Adam Silver being smart about it because what Joel Embiid thinks is that he's suspended for 3 games. Not because you're going to rush back. No, once you get healthy, that's when the 3 games start. Just like that. So, but I do have mixed feelings about it because I feel like on the one hand, like my family and my personal life, that's none of your business. But on the other hand, you can't put your hands on journalists. You can't do it. No.
Yeah. So, and I'm torn with this one too, because one, as a journalist, your job is to ask tough questions, right? Like, I'm sorry, like hey, what'd you have for breakfast? Like, no one wants to hear, no one cares. So you have to ask tough questions. Embiid did open up that door by saying he is dedicating the season to his late brother.
Sure.
So is that a question that he could ask Joel Embiid? Does that make sense? Yes, it does. However, you also have to understand the timing and location for that question, right? If you and I have a sit down and I say, hey, we're going to have this, we're going to talk, and we're going to have, I'm going to ask you some difficult questions. You ready? That's the time to do it. In the locker room setting, when there's other journalists and other players and blah, blah, everybody else around, that's not the time, right, to bring up sensitive issues. Like you don't go up to
you don't do that in front of
you don't go up to someone in a group setting and say, hey, how's that jock itch? Like this, you don't do that.
No.
Right? There's a time and place.
Sure.
So while I say yes, it's his job to ask tough questions, there's also a time and a place to ask those questions. On Embiid's side, I get it, because I've had people, and you've had this too when you're in social media, whatever, that say inappropriate stuff, and when they bring up my Mrs. Fluent or the kids, I know that I tend to sometimes jump a little too quick to
Sure.
You know what I mean? And so I get it. If he asked me that question about someone who passed, I probably punch him. I get it. Right. However, what would hurt that journal, and this is tough because right, but what would hurt that journalist more is when that happened, because the timing, and maybe there's a history there too. Not sure. It sounds like there was. When he asked that question, all Joel Embiid really had to do was turn around, say nothing, and then tell the Philadelphia organization he has no more access.
That's where I was at, Tone.
It's him or me.
Bingo.
And now you take that guy who makes his living, because he's a beat reporter in Philly, right? So you take him out of the Philly locker room, out of the stadium, at which he has every right to do. His job becomes a whole lot tougher. And that would be a very good lesson for that guy to learn about appropriateness in terms of time and place. And again, the question is valid. The question is valid, but that's not the time, right? Like, we had an NBA ref on. I would have loved to ask some questions about some other stuff, but it wasn't the appropriate time. We didn't get the green light to do that.
Right.
But am I still talking to the people at the NBA and saying, hey, I'd really like to ask some tougher questions. Who can I talk to? Of course, because
100%.
we want to know. But could you imagine if I ambushed James Gucci Williams in that interview and said, hey, tell me about Tim Donaghy and how much scandals of fake games are still going on today? Are you crazy? Like, no. Like,
it would be almost impossible for us to get anybody on again.
You would see an immediate off, and
it would be really difficult for us to get anybody on again. But to your point, and it doesn't have to be. Let's say, and again, Tone, I don't know exactly who he worked for, but hypothetically, he worked for the Philadelphia Inquirer. I'm not saying I'm not talking to the Philadelphia Inquirer anymore. I'm not talking to him.
No, just him. Yeah.
I'm not talking to him.
And it's not the first time. There have been reporters who have said inappropriate stuff or whatever that have been told sorry. And and maybe it's not a lifetime ban, but it's the rest of the season.
Sure.
Go do hockey, right? 100%. You're not doing basketball anymore. Like, and that will, set him straight, because, like I said, valid question, invalid timing of the question. Speaking of media, we got a super chat that we'll get to in a second. But speaking of media, I beg and plead, and I know it's been a week, and it's not because I'm a Dodger fan. I beg and plead with the media, with fans, do not make these morons famous. Do not make these morons famous, because the thing that they did here, and I know you saw this, where they yanked the ball out of Mookie Betts' glove.
Stupid.
Not only is it stupid, it takes away from the game of baseball. It's going to ruin the fan experience. And if you make these idiots famous, you're going to get a bunch of other yahoos in other stadiums doing stuff like this. And guess what's going to happen? Those seats get pushed back. And then there's going to be a fence. And then there's going to be a this. And then there's going to be... And look, was it a Monica Seles where the fan went in and, stabbed her in the back? No. But when you have stuff like that happening, and you get guys who, like, these guys are so stupid. They really believe we're part of the team, right? Yes. We have a plan. That's the quote there. Someone defends, someone knocks the ball. We talk about it. We're willing to do this for our team.
Unbelievable. He's actually justifying that.
Bro, you're not a Yankee.
You're not
a Yankee.
You are not on the crew. No.
Wearing the jersey doesn't make you a we.
You're not.
And that's I've given it too much airtime already. I'm taking it down, but please do not make them famous, because I guarantee you, if it not only will other fans in other stadiums start to do it, then they'll take it to the next step, and then it becomes too far. And that's the bigger issue.
Just to be clear, Tone, I am a platinum. I want to say this for the people in the cheap seats in the back. I am a platinum card-carrying member of the Yankee Hater Club. Just so you guys know. So to see them go down in flames, I can't tell you how much I enjoy that. So to see goofies like this contribute to the goofiness of the Yankees, and to see them go down in flames like this, I think it's fantastic to watch the Dodgers smoke them, and not only watch them smoke them, their fan base, who's just a bunch of idiots who just think that they're entitled to everything. This is a prime example of why I hate the Yankees. This is a prime example of why I can't stand the sight of the Yankees. This right here, we talked about this. We're going to do whatever it takes. We? What do you mean we? You ain't on the payroll. You are not on the payroll. And on top of that, and I say we because there's times when, I talk about the team, but I don't, my team, but I don't take it that far. Like if I'm sitting in Levi Stadium as a 49er fan, I'll say we. But you know what I'm not doing? I'm not going to jump on the goalpost and knock the field goal away. I'm not going to do that. That's dumb. But these are Yankee fans. These are the people who, Tone, I don't just want.
Look. Is there a crazier Bears fan? Maybe there's some crazier than me. But
no, I think he's at the top of the list. I don't think that there's a crazier Bear fan than Tone. I think Tone is at the top of the list when it comes to Bear fans. I'm not sure about that. But with that being said, I think that Tone knows exactly where the line is. So we may have lost Tone for a minute, and we'll get him back. But this is just evidence of more dumb Yankee propaganda in who the Yankees are. So to be honest with you, I don't fault them, right? I don't fault them because this is who they are. I can't blame you for being dumb. This is who you are. You're a dumbass. And that's who the Yankees are. And I got no problem with it whatsoever. So with that being said, right? With that being said, there's some other things that there are some other things that I would like to get into. So we got my man Tone back.
I was about to can you hear me?
Yep, you hot. Mm-hmm.
I was about to tell you the score in the Biden-Harris game.
Oh boy.
It's 154 to 27.
Is she smoking him?
No, Trump 154, Harris 27.
So Donald Trump's gonna be president again.
Well, he's got to get to 270, and the blue states, there's a big blue wall on the West Coast, so
right.
California gets a lot of votes, so it's still closer than it seems at it's not like a actual score. So what part was the last thing that you heard me say?
You being a Bears fan.
Oh yeah, me being a Bears fan.
Mm-hmm.
I've been fortunate enough to be on the sideline. You think if someone's going for, I see that Hail Mary, you think I'm going and knocking the ball down so that they don't score that touchdown?
No.
Hold on 1 second. I'll be right back. Hold on one second.
No problem. There's no way I'm doing that. So, again, man, I can't say enough about the ridiculousness of Yankee fans. I can't. And this is who they are. This is 100% who they are. I think that when you have a fan base like that, it's easy to root against them. It just is. It's just easy to root against a team like the Yankees. It just is. There's a reason why. There's a reason why they are called the Evil Empire. There's a reason for that, and I'm not surprised at all. Not even a little bit.
My apologies. I had to,
No
even when I travel, I got to say goodnight to the kids.
Yes.
So I'm not jumping up there and knocking down the Hail Mary. I'm not, if someone's running up the sideline, I'm not jumping out and tackling them. Like, it's nonsense, dude. They're like, it just, as my, and trust me,
imagine Tony jumping out the stands and I don't know, Patrick Mahomes is running down the sideline. And in order to win the Super Bowl, Tony's just jumping out the stands. He's going to tackle Patrick Mahomes. I'm like,
now, listen, I'll tell you this right now. Bears, Colts, Super Bowl. I'm running with Devin Hester every step of the way in that opening kickoff in spot. Like, I'm not running out onto the field. Of course he voted. He's a good American. So speaking of media, I don't know if you've seen this today, because I know you're not really a Twitter guy so much as you. What do you do? Because really you're on Twitter for Woj bombs. Now is it just shams?
It's just shams now. Yep. No. Shams.
Did you see that Skip Bayless got hacked?
I did not see this.
And this guy that hacked him changed his picture to LeBron and started commenting, "Skip, get the Twitter back in. I'm bored already. you got to stop deleting messages. And he's posting and posting messages after message as like he's not even pretending. And it got me thinking. As funny as that is, and it is, what a sad, lonely life of a LeBron James fan do you have to be? Because he is a LeBron hater. Absolutely.
100%. Not even a question.
But to be so hurt that he's a LeBron hater that you're going to hack his Twitter, like that tells me you're pretty smart. There's much better things you could be doing with your time than worried about some 80-year-old man's opinion on your favorite basketball player. Like, let's just be honest. That's what it is. An 80-year-old man hates your favorite basketball player. So I'm going to take my incredible gifts to hack his.
That's what I came up with, Tone. That's what you came up with. As smart as you are.
Better.
Right. That's what you came up with.
Don't hack his Twitter, hack his bank, and take some of the millions of dollars that he has.
How about that? That might be a way better idea. Yeah. I can probably get away with that. I'm hacking his Twitter because I want people to know that, how much of a James hater he is. No, that's goofy.
Now I will say this: his posts are funny. I'd give him a follow if I knew who he was. I just give him a regular follow.
Right. Yeah.
But let's get to. We have a super chat, so let's do that from Full Metal Quirk. Triple J for Giannis and whatever. This moves Memphis up to first in the West. Be right back. I hear you, Chill.
I'm not sure.
I don't think they're going to want a lot more than
Milwaukee do. Yeah, Milwaukee doesn't do that. Memphis, hell yeah. Memphis would be like, yes.
Oh, of course.
100%.
Yeah, sure.
Memphis would do that.
It would have to be a lot more. It would have to be a lot more than that. There'd have to be. I'm setting the bar at minimum 4 first-round picks. It would have to be Triple J, and it would have to be.
If I'm not mistaken,
of course, we'd have to get a third team involved because what you'd want to do is get Dame to Miami and see if you can't get a couple of those pieces.
Miami. Are we getting Dame to Miami? Is that like is that the mission to get Dame to Miami?
I think his mission is.
So he wants to be in Miami.
I think, yeah. His mind, I think, was he's going to Miami.
I still think Dame's got 2 more years at this level before he starts to slow down. I do. I mean, I think he's at 28 and 8 this year. I think he's got 2 more years at this level before he really starts.
Can I just ask what we're talking about though? Because when you say this level, like statistically,
an elite guard in the league.
Sure. And you know what that means to me? Nothing. It means
why
nothing.
Though, Tone? Because it okay, first of all, Tone, this is so unfair.
Because he's putting up numbers, but it's not going to lead to wins. Why? Because it's never led to wins.
Well, it has though, Tone. I mean, he's been in the playoffs. He was when he won playoff series, when he's hitting buzzer beaters, when he's getting busy in the playoffs. That's happened. He has not.
How long ago was that?
It has not led to an NBA championship.
How many years ago was that?
But even still, okay, in 2020, when they with that bad
second round,
right? And I think that the target of being the NBA champ, I just think that's so unfair, Tone, off the strength that it's hard to win, man.
I'm not saying he has to win an I'm not saying he has to win an NBA championship. What I'm saying is, when did they make the Western Conference Finals?
In 2019.
It's been 5 years.
Yes, this is year 6 that we're in.
And that was the one time. So he has that over Embiid, who can't get out of the second round.
They got smoked too, by the way.
Right. So all I'm saying is the stats aren't equating to wins. That's it. And by wins, I mean making deep playoff runs, like if he had been to the Western Conference Finals even twice, 3 times, I'd be like, okay, they had one good run. And you know how I feel. Football. Eli Manning had 2 good runs. They want to throw him in the Hall of Fame.
I think that was 3. I think that was the 3rd time, and he'd been in the league 17, 16 years. He only made the playoffs 3 times. 2 of them he went to the Super Bowl.
Right. So I'm not hating on Dame. I'm just saying, when you say he's gonna have 2 more years of these numbers, Well, maybe sometimes those numbers aren't good for what's important, which is winning games. Like maybe it's because I've seen him play defense. Maybe you should give up 3 points a game.
He will compete on. He's shown me this season that he will compete on the defensive end. He's not very good at it, but he's shown me that he will compete on the defensive end. And when he was in Portland, that was one of the main reasons why they didn't win, was because he wouldn't compete consistently on the defensive end. One of the main reasons why they were in the playoffs and they were making when they were advancing to the second round was because Dame was getting busy and he was a bucket getter.
Offense gets you in the playoffs. Defense gets you through the playoffs. So 100%. Guess what? It's time to learn to play some defense.
I think tell me in year 13, man. Yeah, we're in year 13. He is who he is. So this is.
Hey, can I, since we're talking about stats?
Yep.
You know, I love it means nothing. It's my favorite. Other than now you're more fluent. It's my favorite tagline. I'm going to give you a list of players. You tell me which one of them is in rank these 6 players in order of scorers. Okay?
Yep.
You got it? Rank these 6 players. Okay. Dr. J, Tracy McGrady, John Stockton, Paul George, Bernard King, Anthony Davis.
So Stockton's at the bottom in terms of a bucket getter. Got Stockton at 6. Of this group, you told me Stockton, Anthony Davis, Bernard King, Doc,
Tracy McGrady, and Paul George.
I think T-Mac is the best scorer of all of these guys. I'll take T-Mac. After him, I think Bernard King was a better scorer than Paul George. I'll take Bernard King over Paul George. Then I'll take Paul George at 3rd. Stockton is at 6.
We got Doc and Davis.
Yes, I'll take Doc at 4, and I'll take Anthony Davis at 5.
All right. So more proof that totals mean nothing. Bernard King, Tracy McGrady, Dr. J, Paul George, Anthony Davis. John Stockton has more total points than all of them.
Yes, all of them. Stockton has almost 20,000 points. Stock has almost 20,000 points. If you did, but that's the thing, though, Tone. If you did that, Tone, you're a football guy. Who's the all-time leading rusher in NFL history?
Emmitt Smith.
Is he a better running back than LaDainian Tomlinson?
No.
Is he a better running back than Sweetness?
No.
Right,
no.
And I'm a big time Emmitt Smith fan.
Is he better than Jim Brown? No.
Hey, so we can't just go off of totals. No, we can't do that. But the numbers do matter. 100% they do.
I know, but I will keep banging this home that you cannot only look at total and say that person.
Just so you know, just so you guys know, last season, in the middle of last season, Steph Curry passed Scottie Pippen on the all-time scoring list. So before last season, Scottie Pippen was higher on the scoring list than Steph Curry. Scottie Pippen a better scorer than Steph Curry?
Hell no.
No. No way. Hell no. And if you think that, you are on crack.
Full Metal Quirk. Thank you for the super chat. Much appreciated. When anything over $10 gets immediate, you don't wait. Yep. I am from Kentucky, University of Kentucky. My favorite summertime spent at the University of Kentucky with Tony Delk and your guy Roger Groats. No pro team in eyesight. That's facts. Unfortunate. Kentucky's a good sports town, but I think it's a college town. Giannis to the Hornets or Memphis. LOL at Fluent. I give rare stats on PC. Broken backboard.
Which is that? Actually so earlier today he gave us a fun fact on the panel, which I didn't know. In 1946, a backboard was broken in a warm-up line by, I forgot the guy's name, and he didn't dunk the ball. It was on a jump shot.
On a jump shot?
Yes, in 1946, the backboard was broken. Yes,
well,
sir.
That's because they didn't have the spring. It was
Yeah,
just metal bolted into the glass.
that might be it. But to your point, when you talk about totals, Tone, we had this conversation about what 6 months ago when you brought up when you brought up Tony Parker. He got more playoff points than Chamberlain.
Yeah.
What the hell?
That's why I thought about it, because someone had posted that it means nothing. This is what I love. So a friend of mine says, "Hey, you're finally famous," and I'm like, "I'm not famous, but what do you mean?" He goes, "In my fantasy basketball chat group, they used your meme about it means nothing."
Nothing.
And I was like,
Absolutely.
"Hey, I know that guy." And they're like, "No, you don't." He's like, "Yeah, I know that guy." I'm
It
like, "Oh,
means
okay."
nothing.
Yeah. And that's one of my. So yes, November 5th, 1946. Today is the 75th anniversary. This must be 3 years ago. So today's the 78th anniversary um, of the broken backboard. It happened November 5th, 1946. The Boston Celtics were preparing for their regular season game, for their first regular season game ever. That's right, because the season would have started, I think, November 1st, which was in Toronto, by the way, at the Maple Leaf Gardens. Toronto Huskies versus the New York Knickerbockers. Toronto lost that game. In that game, interestingly enough, if you were taller than their center, he was 6'8", you got in for free. But tickets were only 25 cents. So there you go. So yeah, November 5th, 1946, Boston Celtics preparing for their first regular season game. While warming up, one of their players, Chuck Connors, the original rifleman, reportedly shot a 40-foot set shot that hit the front of the rim.
The backboard.
The backboard.
Yeah, great. What the hell? Can't have nothing nice around here, Tone. We can't. We can't have nothing nice.
But hold on. But that also wasn't the NBA, for the record.
It was the BAA.
It was the Basketball Association of America, which is interesting because the Basketball Association of America had their first game in Canada, which I think is funny. And then
last I checked, Tone, Canada is where?
North of
North, and it's in North where though?
Oh, North America. Oh, yes. The continent. Yes,
it is in North America. Yeah. So I mean,
okay, so that's fair. That's fair. And then they merged with the NBL. Do you know who was the leading, like the scoring champ of that first season in 1946?
I don't.
Joe Fawkes averaged 23.5 points per game on like 28% shooting.
Garbage. Trash. Get Joe off the floor. He's killing us.
He's done with the 40s.
Get Joe off the floor. He's killing us. 28% garbage.
He would be the NBA's leading scorer for the first like 10 years. I've never believed he shot over 35%, but my man still holds records for most field goal attempts in a game. And keep this in mind, those first few years, there was no shot clock. So they were scoring like 60 a game, and he was shooting 40 times. I love that guy. That is exactly how I would have.
That's you, Tom.
He is the one that was the first to take a jump shot, and that is how people then started shooting jump shots. So he was good for something, just not hitting a lot of those. Like he was shooting what would be a 3 back then. Like I have film footage of him shooting, and it's like he's shooting like Dame. He ain't making them, but he's like me. He's like me, catch and shoot. I think
almost 80 years ago. Damn. Joe Fawkes.
I love Joe Fawkes, yeah. Where I think I'm gonna do a TikTok series of just going through every season and just saying who the scoring champ was.
Yeah.
I lost complete track of what we were talking about. Let's go to, you know what? Let's go. Since we talked about what's his name getting hacked.
Chat,
we did, yes, we did. Did we answer the super chat?
No, I don't think we did.
Oh, did I not? Oh, my bad. My bad. Draft a starting 5 from Kentucky. Ooh, we got lots in the league. The best starting 5. That's good one.
Best starting 5. So at the 5, I'll take Dan Issel. At the 4, I'll take Antoine Walker.
That's a good one.
At the 3, I'll take Mash. At the 2, 2 is a little bit difficult. The 1 and the 2 are a little bit difficult because at the 1, was Rondo better than John Wall? I think I'll take I think I'm taking Rondo over John Wall at the 1. I'm stumped at the 2 spot though at Kentucky. Ron Mercer was not better than Jamal Mashburn. He wasn't better than Rod Rose.
Are we talking about in college,
Mhm.
or how they ended up like playing? Like
I'm going off of college. I'm just going off alums. That's all. I'm not going specifically off of. I'm not going specifically off what they did in the NBA. I'm just going off of who they were.
Because I'm probably going. I know you like Dan Issel's. Tough to argue with Dan Issel, but I feel like Anthony Davis is a better basketball player, right? So I'm struggling to say like Anthony Davis. I do like Antoine Walker, although DeMarcus Cousins was a beast. Like Kentucky's so tough, right? You got Devin Booker, John Wall, Anthony Davis, DeMarcus Cousins, Jamal Mashburn, De'Aaron Fox, SGA, yeah, SGA. Like they are stacked.
Maxey went to Kentucky too, by the way.
Jamal Murray. Think about it. Jamal Murray doesn't even get in the conversation.
Well, not just Jamal Murray. Maxey went there too.
Oh, didn't Bam go there too?
Bam went to Kentucky. Yep.
Oh boy. Okay, so I'll go Boogie at the 5. Davis. I'm reuniting them. Davis at the 4. Can I play Walker at the 3? I'll go Walker at the 3. I'll play Walker. Yeah, I'll play Walker at the 3 because he was a stretch. And then I'll go Book and John Wall.
That's a pretty good 5, Tone. That's a damn good 5. That's a damn good 5. Tyler Hero wasn't better than Derek Anderson, by the way. Full Metal. I know you're going off of what's going on today and what you've seen recently. Tyler, there was guys. Tyler Hero wasn't better than the guy that plays for the Rockets, Shepard. Tyler Hero wasn't better than his father. No, he wasn't.
I played that summer camp with his father. His father was dope.
Tyler Hero wasn't better than his father, so
he was dope. Here, I'm going to give you some guys.
Jeff Shepard is his name.
We mentioned Issel. I just pulled this up. So Dan Issel, Anthony Davis, Antoine Walker, Lou Dampier, Cliff Hagan, Devin Booker, Karl Anthony Towns, DeMarcus Cousins, Julius Randle, John Wall, Jamal Mashburn, Tayshaun Prince, Eric Bledsoe, De'Aaron Fox, Rex Chapman, Rajon Rondo, SGA, Adrian Smith, Frank Ramsey, Jamal Murray, Bam Adebayo, Derek Anderson, Chris Mills, Brendan Knight, Ron Mercer, Sam Bowie, Malik Monk, Tyler Hero, Tyrese Maxey, Jody Meeks, Tony Delk, Jamal McGlure, shout out Eastern Commerce,
Big Cat
School in Toronto, Keldon Johnson, Patrick Patterson, Trey Lyles, another Canadian, Emmanuel Quickly, Pat Riley, God,
Riles went to Kentucky. Yes, he did.
And I'm telling you, there's more. I'm just stopping there.
Yes.
I was like, off the top of my head, those are the guys at first, and then I looked and I was like, geez, there's a damn Kentucky.
What's the point of this? Are you trying to because it sounded to me like Full Metal is a Kentucky fan. So if you're a Kentucky fan,
no, I think he's in Kentucky. I think he's in Kentucky.
Yeah, it's cool to be able to say that you think the best basketball players come out of UK. No, I won't argue that. No, I won't.
I think their starting 5 would be as college players. Let's be very clear, because I would say, sure, I could put together a team of what they did in the NBA, and the second I say Jordan, James Worthy, like North Carolina becomes in the conversation. Duke without injuries, right? Grant Hill, etc. Like you can make teams, but I think as far as how many players who were great in college and translated to great NBA players, I don't think anyone can compete with Kentucky. And that's not because I'm biased, because I love Kentucky, and I'm telling you that, like, I wish I would have played in Kentucky, but when I slapped the crap out of Rick Pitino's son, I knew that ended that day, but he deserved it. So what was I doing? Oh yeah, so we were going to stay on media. We're going to stay on media. So how do you feel about this? I really actually like the response and I don't know if you know the response that Stephen A gave to KD, but KD says, I don't understand how people even listen to Stephen A. He's a clown to me. He's always been a clown.
Yep.
Is he a clown?
I'm not sure if he's a clown. Stephen A. Smith been doing this for too long to be considered a clown. That's number one. Number two, Stephen A. actually had receipts of Kevin Durant's people calling him for interviews. He's got receipts for that stuff. And if I'm a clown, then there's no way that your people think that. There's no way you think that I'm a clown when you calling me for interviews. You calling me as a business mogul, which you are in the tech world, to get involved in your business ventures. There's no way you calling me for that stuff if you think I'm a clown. That's not happening. No way that's happening.
Listen, there's going to be incorrect things.
Yep.
There's going to be bad takes, right? When you're expected to talk as an expert on every single sport, on every single player,
right?
Like it's important. Like I know he got picked on recently because he was talking about Sam Darnold. Who's going to know Sam Darnold's stats right now off the top? Like, come on. And so I think the expectation is too high that they're going to be, experts on everything that they talk about. It's impossible, which is why they bring guests on, right? Who they focus. That's why people focus on one player on one team,
right? And
then others are general. But let me ask you this. Do you know what ESPN stands for?
I don't, Tone. I do not. It's not the Electronic Sports Network. No, it's not that. That's not what it is. It's not the I don't know what it stands for. I don't. It's not the Entertainment Sports Network. No, it's not that neither.
Yes, it is.
Is it the Entertainment Sports Network?
Entertainment Sports Programming Network.
Oh, that's what it is.
But that just didn't fit. It didn't fit on a shirt.
Right.
So let's not confuse it. From the day it started, I believe in 1979.
Yep,
it was actually called Entertainment Sports Programming Network. And in 1985, they went, that's too long. And they went ESPN.
Right.
But the E in ESPN has and always has, since the beginning in 1975, stood for entertainment.
Right.
Okay. So let's not be confused. So there's a Canadian version called TSN, which is the Sports Network. The Sports Network. So they do sports. And I promise you, they're not entertaining. ESPN, the first word is entertainment.
Sure.
Because that's what they do. And Stephen A is,
entertaining.
As much as he's been a journalist, a columnist, a beat writer, he is entertaining.
Yes, he is.
And that's his job.
But wait a minute, though, Tone. Even if I am entertaining, that doesn't mean that you can't take me serious. Tone, you're entertaining. I'm entertaining. Sure. But that doesn't mean that just because I'm a part of entertainment that I'm a clown. It doesn't mean that because I'm a part of entertainment that I can't be taken serious. There's a lot of merit to what I say. Stephen A is a bona fide journalist. In fact, Stephen A is one of the few guys that's on television that's an actual journalist. There's not many guys that are on TV that are talking heads that are actual journalists like Stephen A. Smith, who wrote for the Philadelphia Inquirer. On top of that, this all stems back to what Kevin Durant did in 2016. This all stems back to that. And then him leaving and going to Brooklyn, which I said to you, Tone, I said this to you right from the beginning. If you going to Golden State was the plan because you wanted to win,
stay there.
There was no reason to leave.
Stay there.
None.
Stay there. Yeah.
There was no reason to leave.
I would have respected him more if he stayed. Because then I knew he was listening to people and he cared what other people thought. The move to Golden State, whatever anyone said, he could have stood, as they say, 10 toes down and said, yo, I'm a free agent. I'm free to do whatever I want. This is my decision. And I'm staying. And I would have respected it more. Mm-hmm. And for him to call Stephen A a clown, the guy who has burner accounts because he's so sensitive, the guy whose brother attacks people in their DMs when they criticize Kevin Durant, like those are clowns. Mm-hmm. So I actually said, and I know I'm not going to get a response to Kevin Durant. I was like, if you're calling him a clown, which he can be at times, Stephen A. Well, it takes one to know one. Takes one to know one. Because if you're mad about his takes or things you don't agree with or him being wrong about stuff, well, then we're all clowns. They were all clowns because nobody's right all the time. So he's just so sensitive. He's so damn sensitive.
I've said stuff, Tone, that I look back on it and go, yeah, you might want to be able to walk that back. Am I a clown for saying that Giannis is a better offensive player than Joker? I don't know if I'm a clown for saying that, but at the time,
but someone would say you're such a clown for saying that.
Yeah, you're good. But I got sucked into what was going on at the time. Thinking back on it, I walked that back like, no, he is not. But at the time, I thought that. I'd like to think that I've been around basketball long enough to know some things and know for a fact that that was wrong. I shouldn't have said that.
Yeah, I'm going to double down on KD's not a superstar. I started to walk it back. Now I'm doubling down. That ain't a superstar, because being a superstar means a leader. You're not a leader. Let's see what else is on the agenda. I know. It's my favorite Olympic quote. Do you remember my favorite Olympic quote?
Yes, I do, Tone. And this is interesting.
World champs of what? World champs of what?
Oh boy. So I forgot who he's the coach of. I forgot who this guy is coaching.
I thought it was Panathinaikos.
Is it that was the EuroLeague champion from Greece?
Yeah.
Right. And what did he say?
He said Boston Celtics, or he said them, are only NBA champion. Correct. We are the EuroLeague champion. Correct. This is a challenge. Come to play. Then beat us. You can be the world champions. And I disagree.
No, that doesn't work. No, because why? Because then the Italian league champ will go, well, you ain't beat us.
That's right.
Then the Australian league champ will go, well, you didn't beat us. And then the French league champ will go, well, wait a minute, you didn't beat us neither. So what makes you the world champ? Well, Tony, we've already had this conversation. I would love for them to bring back the McDonald's Open. I would.
I don't think that makes you the world champ either.
Why not? Because you didn't play in the league?
I believe a league versus a league versus a league is fun. Don't get me wrong. I'll call it the world. I'll call it the world champ. I'll even call it the world champion if they go and play the McDonald's Open, where the winners from the Euro League and the South American League and they all play in a tournament, and then the whatever. I'm cool with that. People think the best players in the world come and play in the NBA, so the NBA champ is automatically the world champ. And I'm sorry, that is very the world revolves around the U.S. mentality. It is a very American thing to think. However, for me, again, I can only speak for myself. The world champion comes from a world event. So the World Series of Baseball, the world's meaning not MLB, like the World Series, like of minor, it's teams from all over the world, different countries, right? Play, and one country is the world champ.
Sure.
For me, world champion means you've in a world competition. The problem with the NBA saying they're the world champ is that best players in the world play in the NBA. Agreed, no argument,
sure.
No debate even. And could the Boston Celtics go and beat the EuroLeague champs, the Russian League champs, the South American? 1,000% they're beating them. They're beating them 1,000%. However, I don't know about Boston in particular. I got to look them up. All of those teams have the best players from around the league playing in the NBA. Right. So you've diluted because of the money, right? They're the ones that pay the most. You watch when the Saudis start paying more, you're going to see more people going there.
You think so?
Well, what'll happen is like with golf, there'll be like a live basketball, and then they're already infiltrating. They already got Emirates on the refs. They already own the in-season tournament.
Yeah,
it's coming. But that being said, a world championship is a challenge of countries.
Mm-hmm.
Or individuals that can come from any country. That's different. But in team sports, so I can't have a team in Boston that has a player from Russia, that has a player from Canada, that has a player from America, that has a player from Brazil, that has a player, and say, well, I'm world champ. Well, yeah, if you took the best players from every other country out of their leagues, out of their respective leagues, you better be the best. You better be. So that's why I don't like Now, that might be, now people will use that and say, well, that's why they're the best, because they're the best in the world. They are the best in the world. For me, a world champion is a world competition of countries. And maybe that's semantics, but that's me. And I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I'm saying that's just how I feel.
Would it be the same tone as the New York City Marathon or the Boston Marathon? Okay, it's held in Boston, but the best runners are from Kenya.
That's different
Brazil.
because it's individuals.
Okay.
So it's the best runners from around the world, right?
Yeah.
Come and they race in that race. So yeah,
Right.
That's world champ. Tennis, it's all the
That's
best
what I'm
players.
talking
Golf,
about.
yeah,
The U.S.
golf,
Open.
world champ. All of
Right.
those things, I agree. But when it's team sports and on your team is
Yep.
players from all different countries,
Mhm.
then you're just that league champ. And look, that doesn't mean you're not the best in the world. The Boston Celtics are the best team in the world. They're just not world champs for me.
Fair enough.
Right?
Fair enough.
You know, like just think about the Denver Nuggets. And this was a bit more prevalent to me 2 years ago when they said Denver is the world champs. And I said, if you take their two best players who are neither American and put them back in their countries, is Denver the best team even in their division?
Now
Right?
we're
Like,
talking about something completely different.
they might not even be the best team in Denver if they take those two guys off. Oh, Full Metal. Got one more. What do you got? Is it possible to be a spacer? Oh, I love this question. If I cannot shoot the three, maybe I am a slasher, offensive
Yes.
rebounder from hell yeah. You dig? W show you two are abracadabra showtime match. I don't know who this is. I love this guy.
Yeah.
Yes,
it is.
Yes, go ahead.
It
I know how you
100%.
feel about this, so I'm going to let you go first.
Yes, it's 100% possible to be a spacer, and if you can't shoot the three, people think that just because you can't shoot the three, you can't be a spacer. In fact, that's where your game in the mid-range, right in the mid-range and in the mid-post, that's where your game expands, and that's how you move out to the long ball line. I don't need to guard you. I don't need to guard you out at the long ball line if you can't really shoot at the long ball line. If you shoot in the mid-range and you're good, I have to guard you out there, which is creating space in the lane, which is creating space on the baseline. But now if not only can you shoot in the mid-range, but you can also shoot at the long ball line, now that gives you even more space, because now that frees up the big man even more space in the paint. That frees up the big man even more space in the mid-post. That frees up the big man even more space in the mid-range, which now gives guards, not just at the long ball line, but even at the rim, opportunities around the rim to get to the basket. And I think that all starts with being at the mid-range and being able to shoot in that area, and then spacing yourself out to the long ball line.
People act like they've just never watched basketball before sometimes. Go watch a game, right? And tell me that if you had, now they didn't do this, but if you had five guys standing 1 foot inside the three and no one down low, you didn't just space it out if you played a five out. And let me give you a player as an example. Kevin Garnett shot in the low 20, I believe, percent, maybe 27. That's high 20s, but I think maybe 27, 25% from three.
Sure.
Do you know what he shot from 16 feet to the three-point line?
From 16 feet to the three-point line, he had a really good mid-range game.
Over 45%, in fact.
Yeah, he had a really good mid-range.
So you're telling me KG standing 1 foot in from the three-point line, knocking down 45, 46% of them, he's not spacing the floor? The reason is people don't realize there's two things that happened at once. So as the NBA expanded and became more of a three-point shooting league, so I'm doing it down on my table, you can't see. As they expanded and became more of a three-point shooting league, the skill set of the 4 and 5, and let's be clear, sorry, there were guys that did this, like Paul McKeskey, Bill Laimbeer, Jack Sikma. These guys were centers, were bigs that shot from the outside. But now there's way more. So as those 4s and 5s started to come out too, and the lane opened up and there was 3-second defense, so you couldn't stand in the key anyways, it made the appearance of more spacing because of the three. But if you had that same rule of the 3 seconds and you had your 4s and 5s even shooting mid-range KG shots, same effect. But of course, if I'm at the logo, it creates more space. But you can only go so far wide And that's really the spacing that matters. Spacing it out to the foul line or to center
Sure.
is one thing. But if you think about it, if you are guarding your guy who's at the corner 3, okay,
Yep.
that is 22 feet. So I can give him 5 feet, easy, 5 to 10 feet. Well, now I'm standing in. So the spacing this way to have open driving lanes is still it can only be the width of the court. There's only so that's what I'm saying. Is 22 feet on the corner that much different than 20? It's really not. So yes, is it now if you're standing at the logo and you're Steph, but honestly, how many guys are you actually worried about hitting from the logo consistently? 3 guys, 5 guys?
Not many.
Not
many. Nearly as many.
So you're giving them that. You're gonna give them that. So that's why I say yes, spacing is more when you have efficient 3-point shooters, but you can absolutely space the floor with mid-range. 100%.
Yes, you can. 100% you can.
Yeah.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
I want to ask you a question, but first.
It's good stuff right here, boy. I already know what this is about to be.
No, you
I don't know what it's about to be, but I know tone. So
No.
I know this is gonna be something good.
said, better late than never, better late than never.
Sorry, I had to show that one more time.
Trash.
Lou Will
Mm-hmm.
said that Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell are the best duo in the NBA.
He did say that. And Tone,
is he
I
wrong?
think
Is he right?
I don't think he's 100% right, but I think he's got a claim. And the reason why I think he's got a claim, because I'm seeing that and I need you to hear me out for a second. I want you to remember when Darius Garland was in Cleveland, when he showed up. He showed up as a lottery pick. They were building that team around him. He ends up making the All-Star team in year 3. They sign him to a max deal going into year 4. And then they end up moving off. Then they end up bringing in Donovan Mitchell. So 1 minute you're telling me that I'm the man. You signed me to this contract extension. I am the man, only except I'm not the man. So now I'm going through a transition of whether or not I'm the man and whether I'm not the man, whether I'm not the man. And he looks way more comfortable today than he did 2 years ago playing with Donovan Mitchell, because it didn't seem like his role was defined. Am I the guy who can shoot the basketball more? Am I the guy who's just going to be a primary distributor? And it's more today with the addition of Kenny Atkinson of a guy who's just, play your game. Play how you know how to play. Be a lead guard who can score, who can get guys involved in the game. Lou Williams says Darius Garland are the best.
I said Lou Will. Someone's questioning me. Lou.
Yeah.
Lou Will.
And if you have an open shot, take it. His shot creation has gotten better. Him getting downhill has gotten better. The thing that I like about him the most is that he's much more confident. He's a lot more confident playing with Donovan Mitchell, which I love, by the way. I love the fact that he's much more confident playing with him. And they look much more competent as a backcourt than they did 2 years ago. However, there's a lot of duos in the league that are damn good. A lot. And
okay, hold on. Let me throw some at you, and let's just see.
Yep.
Are they better than Dame and Giannis?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. And now remember what we're talking about here. We're talking about Dame and Giannis as a duo, not individual players. How does this work in between these two? Yes, I think both. I think Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland, the way that they're playing right now, yes, I like what they're doing as a duo.
Are they better than Brown and Tatum?
No.
Are they better than Davis and Braun?
No.
Are they better than Jokic and Murray?
We could talk about it. With Jokic and Murray at their best, no. And that's not it's not a conversation. No. But
KD and Book.
I think Donovan Mitchell's the best 2-guard in the game, man. And I think I do. I think he's the best 2-guard in the game.
Not as individuals.
But that's what I'm saying. And how both Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell have been working off of each other. How they've been working together. both offensively and defensively. I'm not thinking about KD as a player. No, I'm not. I'm not thinking about Devin Booker as an individual player. I think Devin Booker individually is better than Darius Garland. How much better? How good does Darius Garland play off of Donovan Mitchell? How good does Donovan Mitchell play off of Darius Garland? These two guys have been great. These guys, and I've seen KD and Book. I've seen them guys together. We talked about when Book went on that heater in the playoffs a couple of years ago, where he was shooting something ridiculous, like 79% from the floor.
Yeah.
But it was goofy what he was doing, Tone. But with him doing that, right? With him doing that, the jury was still out on KD. KD was quote unquote in a slump. He was averaging like 27 a game. And he was in a slump. Now, with this group, with both Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell, like I said, the confidence in Darius Garland, that's largely due to Donovan Mitchell getting in his ear. That's largely due to Darius Garland. That's largely due to Donovan Mitchell getting in his ear. I think it's elevated his game, and I think that there's a conversation about them being the best duo in the game. I do.
Yeah, I don't. They're much improved, and I think Cleveland's success is more to do with the team than the duo.
Yep.
Whereas I think a lot of other teams are very reliant on their duos. So if you said borderline top 5, because you already said 3, yes, I would have been like, okay, yeah, I could see that. I don't think they're in the conversation for best, though, because I think there's 2 or 3 that are clear cut better.
Right. So okay. So let's because I don't. To be honest with you, you know how I feel about Evan Mobley, and I don't think Darius Garland is better than Evan Mobley. Correct. So with that being said, these two guys as a duo, top 5. I mean, I think we can have a conversation.
Now you want to say, if you want to say top backcourt in the league, we can have that conversation.
Well, what's the difference, Tone? Because that's what we are. We're a duo.
Well, because the backcourt versus once you start throwing in some big men, right? Like the backcourt in Denver doesn't compare to these two, but when you throw in Jokic, we're having a different conversation,
right?
There is no backcourt in LA. Right, you're talking about a small forward, or power forward center, or whatever the hell positions you want to put.
Point forward in a
yeah.
Sure.
So that's why I say backcourt. We're having the conversation quickly, and then we're going to get to the top 10 because we're running out of time. Pop, have you heard anything about what's going on with Pop? He had a medical scare. He's not he's not going to be coaching.
Tone, I don't hate to say this, and I'm going to say this with conviction. Tone, there comes a time when it's time to move on, and I feel like we're at that time. Pop is 75 years old. He's been in the NBA over 30 years, and he's been a head coach. There isn't anything else that Greg Popovich can do as a coach. Nothing. He's been coach of the year 3 times. That's only him and Pat Riley. Those are the only 2 guys who've done that. Won the NBA championship 5 times. Been to the playoffs 20 straight years. Not many coaches have done that. And Greg Popovich
wasn't there a stretch too with Tim Duncan where they didn't win less than 50 games for like
50 games, 50 games, Tone. And with that being said, I feel like we're at that point where, coach, it's time
to take that nice cushy job upstairs in the executive suite.
It's time. And take it a step further than that, Tone. It's time to go home. You don't have to go upstairs.
I don't think I think he's like a shark. I think if he stops moving, he'll die. So I think you got to give him.
I don't think that neither.
You got to give him like Jerry West, right? Like you just let him. He's still got a lot of basketball knowledge to share. So yeah,
I wouldn't get with that.
I wouldn't
now that I think about it,
Now, if he wants to work limited hours and stuff, I'll let you do whatever the hell you want to do.
Sure.
But yeah, I think that's.
I could get with that.
Yeah,
I equate that to Joe Paterno. I remember when Joe Paterno had the nonsense going on in Penn State, and I remember saying when that happened, I said when he got let go, I said don't be surprised if Joe Paterno's dead in a year, and within a year he was gone.
Yeah,
because he had been.
That's why I don't want that to happen.
Yeah, because he had been the head football coach. He had been the head football coach for like 40-something years, and when that whole thing happened, and he had ended up getting let go. I said to myself, I was like, don't be surprised if Joe Paterno's dead in a year, because that was his life.
Yeah.
If a guy like Greg Popovich, who is as good as he is, an X and O guy a guy who manages players the way he does, the X's and O's, the guy who's the motivator that he is. That's his life. That's who Greg Popovich is. But he's long in the tooth. He's 75 years old. I actually thought that Wemby was going to put some years on him. I did. Because when you get a young guy like Wemby, who you've never seen before, automatically I'm thinking, yo, he's going to revive Pop. But, Father Time is undefeated. And, Tone, if I'm being honest with you, I think it's time.
I know there's one guy that's doing a pretty good job of fighting Father Time, but I told you I thought this was Pop's. I thought this was Pop's last year, but not like this, right? Like I really hoped it would have finished the season, and he just kind of said it's time on his own terms.
Time. Sure,
right? Like this is very unfortunate to see, but it reminds me sometimes of there's a lot of players. Somebody just did it actually last week that like announced their retirement. And I'm like, you didn't announce your retirement. No one's signing you. Like the league retired you, right? You're sitting at home and your phone ain't ringing. Mm-hmm. You've been retired. That's sure. You're not doing it. I want your top 10, but before you give me your top 10, I want to put it out there because I said it to you privately and I never said it here. I was supposed to go to the Toronto Raptors Sacramento Kings game to watch the game.
Sure.
And it was the Vince Carter jersey retirement, and I did not go. I boycotted it because I don't like it. Don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like him in the Hall of Fame. I don't like T-Mac in the Hall of Fame. I don't like Bill Bradley in the Hall of Fame. I don't like numbers being retired. I don't like it. And it's not to say he wasn't great, and it's not to say that he didn't put Canada on the map for basketball. He absolutely did. Mm-hmm. I'm not, you know what? I don't like it. So I'm putting it out there. I'm saying it, and there it is. So with no discussion, your top 10, whenever you're ready.
At number 10, Tone, I got Minnesota. At number 9.
Actually, you know what? I will say something. No, hold on. 2 All-NBA team selections.
2 of them.
That's it.
In 22 years, by the way.
In 22 years. That's it.
Every decade. That's one every decade.
That's it.
That's one every decade. Once
every decade. That's all that he has on his resume.
And the NBA. Don't forget, in college, I was an All-American.
Yeah.
In college, I was an All-American. In high school, I was an All-American.
That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm going to say. Okay.
I was in the Basketball Hall of Fame. And so I got Minnesota at 10. This thing is coming along.
Reverse.
Yeah, I'm doing it in reverse.
Okay.
So and number 10, I got Minnesota. This thing is coming along slowly. But they're figuring it out. At number 9, I got Memphis. Every time I see Memphis and I see Ja, I just get this. I get this voice in my head, and I hear Jay-Z going, "Allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is Ho."
Did you see that right hand spin 360 left?
And he did,
wow!
And he did it twice, Tone. He didn't do it once. He did it twice.
Like
yes. And
remember before the gun stuff, I said the guy that I will pay to watch is Ja. I've always said phenomenal. Yes.
And he's basically reintroduced.
9 and 10 mine are the same. I'm with you.
And he reintroduced himself. At number 8, I got the Dallas Mavericks. Luka is shooting the ball less than, but I think he's gonna get back to being Luka again. Number 7 is as dysfunctional as you say that they are. They still rolling, and that's the Knicks. At number 6, the Lakers look like they're gonna be a better regular season team than I think. I had them as I think they're more of a playoff team than a regular season team, but they look like they're going to be a better regular season team than I think.
Aren't they? They're 1-3 in their last 4 games.
Right, and again, I think
I'm just putting it out there. I'm just putting it out there.
I did this list. What's today? Today is Tuesday. I think I did this list yesterday.
Okay.
Yeah, I did this list yesterday. And number 5, I got Phoenix.
Okay.
I had Phoenix. I was wrong about Phoenix so far. I had Phoenix as a playing team. I had them at like 8 or 9. At number 4, I got the Dubs, who you talk about Milwaukee being fool's gold. This might be fool's gold too. I'm not
Yeah,
I'm
you're
going
not
off of
buying
what's
it.
going on.
You're not buying
No,
it.
I'm
I
not.
know you're not
No,
buying
I'm
it.
not. At number 3, I got the Boston Celtics, and this isn't indicative of the Boston Celtics being the NBA champs because I still think that they're the NBA champions. At number 2, Oklahoma City. There's no team in NBA history that it's won by the average margin of games that they've won by in NBA history. And then at number 1, I think Cleveland's the best team in the NBA right now. I do. I think they're the best team in the NBA. And I'm trying to still get my man over here. He won't take the ticket. I'm trying to get him on the Cleveland train. He will not take the ticket. I'm trying.
Last year, you got me out on the ledge, and then we both jumped to our death. So excuse me if I'm gonna go a little bit slow this year on stepping out on that ledge with
I'm
you,
giving
my
him the
friend.
ticket. I'm giving it to him. Here you go, Todd, and he won't take it.
I want to wait a little and get a first class.
8-0, Tone. I'm telling you, man. This team's the real deal. They're not winning the NBA championship. But like I told you already, Tone, do not be surprised if this team ends up in the East Finals. Don't.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they're in the East Finals with Boston because I don't believe so. Cleveland and Boston are the only teams in the East in my top 10. So I don't believe in the Knicks, as you know.
Right.
I was right about Milwaukee. I was right about Philadelphia. So I think I'm going to be right about the Knicks.
Excuse me.
Your list is pretty close to mine. But let me ask you this question. So Cleveland, Oklahoma, Boston, Phoenix, Golden State. Where do you have Houston?
Right behind Minnesota. Literally. Right there.
So they're at 11?
Right there.
Are they the most likely to crack the top 10?
Yes. 100% they are, Tone. Yes.
And then who are I don't believe I heard you say the Denver Nuggets.
You know how you feel about Milwaukee? The reason why how you feel about Milwaukee, I'm the opposite. I thought that Milwaukee, I had them as a top 4 seed off the strength of who they had in Giannis. I feel the same way about Denver. They got the best player in the game. So because they got the best player in the game, I give them a chance off that strength right there.
I think Chicago finishes with a better record than the Knicks.
Oh. That means the Chicago Bulls going to be a top 3 seed in the East.
No, it means the Knicks are going to be in the play-in. All right, man.
Yo.
It's we hit that 2-hour mark.
Getting the call from the suits. They telling us we got to wrap it up.
Well, you know, I don't know if you know this. I'm an hour ahead.
Oh.
It's 11 p.m. here in New Brunswick. Yeah, it's 11:30 in Newfoundland.
So an hour and a half.
Everything's weird. Yeah, everything's weird there. So it's 11. And so other than I think we got everything. Is there? Oh! Full Metal coming through in the clutch with our final. So we're gonna take this final super chat, and then we're gonna call it a night until the next time. If you are a top player, I am, and you see a up and coming team like Houston, Hornets are not an up and coming team. You know, why not go to help?
Go to help them.
I think you've seen that before though. Like, and I don't know if it was just going home, but you've seen like Tracy McGrady or Grant Hill going to Orlando. There was actually a lot of talk of Tim Duncan. If it wasn't for a last minute meeting,
Doc screwed that up. He was going to Orlando.
Yeah, he was going to Orlando. So we've seen players go to up and coming teams before. I think that's that is that's definitely like
100%.
Now here's the thing. To kind of counter that side, because we have seen it before. The other thing is a lot of guys, because of what makes them great, which is their egos, they're like, I don't want to go to a team that's already good or to a team that's everyone thinks is going to be good. I want to make this team good. I want to stay where I am, and I want to be the catalyst for change and the one that makes them great.
Like Giannis, for example.
So like Giannis. Giannis said, I'm in Milwaukee. They signed me. They drafted me. I want to stick around and make them great. None of them are wrong. It's just it's different mentalities. So, you know, could a player going to an up-and-coming team like Houston and saying, I could be that difference maker? Yeah, 100% happen. Now, normally that's not necessarily the star player. It's like secondary guys.
Sure.
But I think there's a case to be made right? We've seen Kevin Durant go to the best team and do it that way. We've seen guys go to up and coming teams, like I mentioned already before, and then we've seen guys stay and just stick it out with who they have. So I think they all have their place.
Yep.
I guess is the best way to say it. What do you think?
Fair enough. Absolutely fair enough. When I think about top players, it's just no real incentive today to do that, off the strength that we've seen the quote unquote super team not work. And that's the backlash that a lot of these guys would get. So a player like Paolo, him staying in Orlando would be more beneficial than him seeing what they're doing in Oklahoma City and going, yo, I want to get on that crew. Off the strength that they're building something in Orlando around him, and it's working, where they're a playoff team and they're becoming better. Him now deciding I'm going to go play for the Oklahoma City Thunder. I think that would throw a monkey wrench in what he's trying to do. So,
but everyone who's been in Orlando has left.
100% they have. Yes. Howard gone, Shaq gone, Hardaway gone. I think that we're in a space now, Tone, where we're going to see a lot more homegrown talent and more homegrown teams off the strength of what the CBA is. Because I think the CBA has really crippled a lot of teams in terms of that second. It's
doing what it's meant to do, which is put the power back in the team's hands.
Sure.
Yeah. Players don't necessarily like that, but there you
100%.
go. Dubs Bestie says, let's go Trump. I have no affiliation other than to say, if Canada ever has an election, goodbye Trudeau. I'll leave it to you to say goodnight.
Yes, sir. Guys, it was good to see you. You know where to find us. We're here every Tuesday night on the Sports Fluent and Chilltown Hoops Network. We will see you next week. But until then, put on a suit. Don't drink and drive. Drink water. Don't drink and drive. Hey, man, call your mother. Well, last time you talked to your mother? I just talked to my mother a couple of days ago. She's doing great. Call your mother. We'll talk to you guys soon. But until then, take it light. Take it. It was good to see you guys.
Oh, Canada.
Put on a suit, drink water, don't drink and drive. Hey, man, call your mother.
It means nothing. It means nothing.
Nah, they lying to you. It's about the money.
Now you're more fluent.
Yeah. So, Tom, real quick.
My computer started to freeze again.
Oh, boy. Real quick, Tom, because